Good afternoon and welcome to our DWS Community Cafe. We're really glad that you could join us this afternoon. So we started this series just to give our customers and partners just a little bit more of an inside track on how to make the most of the investment in the Dimension product suite. Our solution experts are here to just walk you through some tricks and tips and use cases that you may have, maybe that you haven't thought of, just in terms of how to use the product, and maybe give you a deeper insight on the usability of the product and any features that you may not have thought of. Today's session is on Dimension SwifTest using the scheduler with the PodHQ and the Pod Client. If you have any questions, please can you put them in the chat box, or please feel free to email us at sam@dwsglobal.com. If you haven't had a chance to watch this live, the webinar will be available on our website under the Community Cafe banner. And don't forget, there's a chance to win the Starbucks gift card if you actually watch one of the sessions that we have live. A couple of sessions that will be coming up in the future to look out for: Dimension Focus and Dimension Load Test. So with that, I'll pass you over to my colleague, Denis Tushenko, and we'll get started. So Denis, I'll just hand over to you.
Okay, hello. My name is Denis, and I am one of the support consultants at DWS who can help you with your SwifTest. And right now we're going to show you how to use the scheduler, because actually we've got a lot of customers who use SwifTest, but not so many customers who actually use the scheduler for some reason. So first of all, even before you start, what you need to know is that you need to download the scheduler, and to do that you need to go to our Dimension Hub. You need to sign in with your account, and after that, go to the download area, and we have, well, you can download the SwifTest itself here, but you can also download the two scheduler applications. One of them is the PodHQ, and the other one is the Pod Client. So you'll need to download both, and when you actually install them on your computers, you should only install one PodHQ, because this is like the main application that monitors the scheduler, and that gives tasks to the actual pods. And the pods should be installed on different computers of the same network, so that PodHQ can talk to them. So this is basically, it's very simple. One PodHQ, many pods. In the simplest scenario, you can have just one PodHQ and one pod on the same computer, but it doesn't have to be like this. So in this demo, it will be like this. I downloaded them both. I installed them both on my computer, and they will be run both here on this computer, but you don't need to do that. So many customers just run pods on some virtual machines at night, for example, or you can run it, you can install them on your personal computer, not personal, your work computer, obviously, but you can also run it at night. It's really up to you. So once you've downloaded them and installed them, you'll have those two little icons on your desktop, and you do need to sign in. If you do use SwifTest, but you don't have the PodHQ accounts and pod accounts, please get in touch with our help desk, and we'll provide you with the accounts, because they require separate accounts. You can't sign in to them with your actual account that you use SwifTest. So when you run either of those, you need first to right-click on them and say login. Then you need to sign in with your PodHQ account. DWS PodHQ. As I said, this is a separate account. If you don't have it, get in touch with us. So this guy is just there. It's sitting there, and it's monitoring the schedules to start them. Then you should install on some other computer, or maybe on the same computer, or maybe on many different computers in your network, the SwifTest pods. There are many of them, could be many of them. I will run it on the same computer, and here again it's a separate login and password. So once it's started, it's there. They're both sitting here on my computer. Now the scheduler, the only entity the scheduler can work with are queues. So you have tests. You probably know how to create queues. If you don't, it's fairly simple. And then once you have those queues, you can actually schedule them. So let me just show you the queues first. Here are the queues. I've got just a couple of them. So yeah, they're created. This is not the topic of our conversation, how to create queues, but it's pretty straightforward. And once you've got queues, you can schedule them. So there is a separate tab here, which is called schedules. You go here. So currently I have nothing. And I'll press create. Then I'll name it somehow, depending on what it's doing. So for example, it will be create and receive a PO, a purchase order. Then you need to select a queue. And there are a couple of things that you can do here. You can make it a one-time task. So for example, we can make it run at 16, so which is 4 p.m. 11 in 2 minutes. I will actually save it here. So once I save it, this is the easiest one. It's a one-off task, and it will be run only once at this time. So you can see that the PodHQ actually registered it. It's not run yet. It's not being executed because it's going to be executed in 1 minute. But we just know that it's been registered. So yeah. And while we're waiting for it to be executed, I can show you other possibilities. So here, create multiple PO. So another queue we can register, and for example, multi-line. Well, multi-line PO. Yeah, so we've already seen this one single. Now we can create a so-called interval schedule. So for example, we can run it every like 24 hours. So it should be like this, 23. Oh, we can. Okay, so we can do it 23 hours and 59 minutes, I guess. Yeah, and save it. So there will be another queue, which will be run, well, almost every day. Well, for daily ones, we have something else. So meanwhile, it's 4:11, 16:11, and one of the queues is starting automatically. You can see it on my screen currently, only because in the settings of the project, it said that it should be run in Chrome normally. So it will be seen there. It's not a problem for a virtual machine, for example, which is specifically set up for that. It's not a problem for anything else, but sometimes when I personally use it for my tasks, I set up the project to use the Chrome in headless mode. And when it is in headless mode, basically, you don't see that on your screen, but it's still being run. The screenshots are being captured. Yeah, so it should work fine. But you don't see it on the screen. You can just move on with your work, even if you have something there. Yeah, so we can see that this one is being run. And the queue that I run. I think it said that it's going to run the second queue now, because the one that I said that should be run every 23 hours and 59 minutes. Well, so this one will just create a purchase order and receive it. This is the queue. Should be pretty fast because it's straightforward. So you can see once this one-off scheduler tasks has been executed, it's gone from the scheduler because it's not it shouldn't start at any point in the future. But when we create recurring tasks like this one, it will stay here in the scheduler for as long as it needs to. So this one will be run every time. You don't need obviously to say 23 hours. Usually it's something like every 5 minutes or every hour, depending on the nature of the task. Meanwhile, I think we already receiving that purchase order. We have received it, and that's all. So yeah, that's what the scheduler does. It runs something at this time. So what else is there? Create schedule, create a PO. Purchase order. So the interval, it can be 0 and 5. So that would be every 5 minutes. We can also say daily. So that's what I was trying to do, actually run it every 24 hours, but it's much better if you do it like this. So if you need to run it daily, you can say run it daily at say 1 o'clock at night, and then it will be run at 1 o'clock at night. Also, it depends on your time. So it will run according to the clock on the computer on which you have the pod installed. So if you have computers in different time zones, this is something to bear in mind, that the pods will actually pick up according to the local time on that computer where the pods are installed. And we can run it weekly, for example. We can select that we would like to run them, say, some task on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday at a certain time, say at 1 o'clock at night, and this task will be run at that point. The tasks that are being executed by pods are pretty much the same as they work in the same way as the task that you normally execute from your Swift tests. They are being saved in the Dimension Hub. You can see the execution results. You can download the PDF and do the other stuff. Actually, this pod application, which runs the test, it's like SwifTest, but without the interface. It's a small version of SwifTest per se. It just sits there on your computer and just runs the tests whenever they need to be run, and saves all the screenshots and generates all the data for your hub. So once it's been run, you can actually go to the hub, go to the executions, and see that. So this one, purchase order, create, receive. Yeah, so those are the things that were run. You see it's 1613 and 161331. Yeah, so we created a PO and we received it. And as always, with everything that we run in SwifTest, whether it's our pod, it actually shows you that it was run by pod. You can always sort by the user, and you can see like everything that was executed by this user, which is a proper user. Yeah, as with everything else, you can download the PDF to see the execution results, because most often than not, those scheduled tasks will be run on some unattended computer, or maybe on your computer, but at night when nobody sees that. So it's a good idea, first of all, to go here and check whether it's been executed, whether you have this check mark, so success or fail, and you can always download the PDF itself and see every step, what was going on, how the purchase order was created, and other stuff. So this doesn't differ from your normal SwifTest run, just done on the scheduler. Yeah, so how it is being used by some customers, some interesting use cases. For example, we've got a customer who uses the scheduler for their companies in PY. So they have many companies in the PY environment. Well, they have many companies in every environment, and in production, they have the procedure to close the month and to move to the next period. But in PY, they would like that to just happen automatically or something like this. So they created a test and they just run it on the first month of on the first day of every month, and that test basically moves the current period of each company to the next one, and yeah, it just works fine, because usually if you do it manually, you would spend probably at least 30 minutes or maybe even 60 if you have lots of companies, and well, that helps. So basically it can be used for tasks like this. If you have some real tasks, not testing tasks, that are repetitive and can be easily automated, you can use it for that. Another use case would be, for example, how we use, and also some other customers who have active in-house development. So when you have a development team and when you have development tasks, it is normal that part of your testing effort is automated, but part of it still needs to be done manually. When you create a new tasks, you do need to test it manually. But usually, to test manually something related to say purchase orders, you need to have a lot of purchase orders. Some of them should be received, some of them should not be received. And while testing itself is mostly manual, like when the testing is fresh after the development, it also helps when you have enough purchase orders, for example, because just to test a voucher match, you're supposed to create a purchase order, you're supposed to receive a purchase order, and it takes time. So what we do here, we have tests, we have scripts that create purchase orders, and we run them at night on the scheduler, and it would create us about 50 purchase orders every night with different items, different quantities, and stuff like this. So every morning we have a fresh set of 50 or so purchase orders to be used with our manual tests. Obviously, once we do the manual tests, we also create automated tests based on those manual tests, and we create a queue where we incorporate this purchase order creation and the automatic test. But those nightly runs, they greatly help us because they save a lot of time. When you need to test something on purchase orders, the purchase orders are already created. And if you need some different purchase order with different items, different quantities, you just modify the repository in the evening, then go home, and next morning you've got the purchase order with different items and different quantities. So it works like a charm. Now we've got some other customer who actually uses SwifTest, who actually uses the scheduler as the official testing, the official tester. So whatever they do using their personal accounts, it's considered to be just a test run. So when they're here, they can see that some of the tests were run by like real users. So for example, this one was run by me, this one by some other user. Yeah, so those are not official runs, but all the runs by the pod user. So in our case, it's DWS, but they have their own pod. Those are the official runs. And that also helps because once you create a test and you're just testing the test before you actually officially testing the system. And this way you can easily distinguish tests that are run in order to test your system and just some tests that you run for yourself. So that can also be useful, I believe. And also those tests are all run on just a couple of machines and not your own machine. And those machines kind of have some configuration which matches fine the what they need for that. Obviously, there are other usages of the scheduler, and you can use it however you wish. Yeah, you just need to remember that we need you need to have this login and password. And if you need to get in touch with our help desk, if you don't have the login and password, or whether you have some problems with the scheduler, because you might, in this case, use this button, which is a contact help desk. So sign in with your account, contact our help desk, and we will help you with the scheduler. And I think that's all I wanted to say. Do you have any questions? Can I take a look? Rachel,
Yeah, no questions come in. So, you know, we haven't got anything at the moment to answer. You probably covered it really well, Dennis, in that. That was good. So I think we've got no questions. As I say, please get in contact with us. My email, rachel.fraser@dws-global.com, or, you know, contact us through the help desk or in LinkedIn. So, yeah, I think, Dennis, if you've covered everything, there's no questions. I think we're fine to wrap up.
okay.
Thanks
Thank you very much,
Dennis,
guys.
and thanks everyone for joining us. And we look forward to everyone joining us on the next session for Dimension Focus. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Bye-bye, guys.